Hello and welcome to my second video on my perimenopausal series for supporting digestion and IBS. And today I'm just going to talk to you about bloating. Before I say anything, obviously this is just generic advice. If you are experiencing persistent bloating that you're concerned about, obviously please do see your doctor. So, as I have said before in other videos, during perimenopause, our hormones are in fluctuation. So it's not just a big plummet in estrogen, although obviously estrogen is going down. We are going to get this sort of fluctuation between the two hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Progesterone starts to decline first, and sometimes this will exacerbate symptoms by causing this imbalanced ratio between estrogen and progesterone. And estrogen actually does have its role in the gut. It's also like a bidirectional role. I'll talk about that another time. But estrogen is protective of the gut lining, and the gut lining is really implicated in things like food sensitivities. It also plays a role in your gut microbiome, and your gut microbiome is the gut bacteria basically. It's not just bacteria in there, but that's generally what we talk about. The gut bacteria play a role in your digestion and absorption. So when we're experiencing bloating, there are many possible causes of that. The reason why you might be experiencing new bloating with perimenopause or increasing bloating with perimenopause is because of this changing in hormones. So it is because of that flux. But first of all, you need to think about how's best to support it. So as I say, there's many things that can cause bloating, and it can be different parts of the digestive system that need support. So first things it could be is that you are not getting, you're not eliminating properly, so you're not going for enough bowel movements actually if you're constipated. I talked about that in the previous video. So thinking about your fibre, thinking about your thyroid, thinking about your keeping hydrated. There are other things that can affect your bowel motility as well. So if it's how many bowel movements you're going for, if you're a bit constipated, that can make you bloated. Other things that can make you bloated are the small intestine can have imbalance. There shouldn't really be bacteria in the small intestine. It affects the function. And sometimes it can grow in bacteria and species that shouldn't be there. And that affects its ability to digest and absorb some of your nutrients. And that's going to cause things like bloating, wind, fullness, feeling sick. So that's something that we can test for, we can look into. We also need the stomach acid and the digestive enzymes to work well. And actually, as we get older and also as we experience stress, our stomach acid really declines in response to stress. When cortisol is raised, it suppresses the stomach acid production. Cortisol as well, the stress hormone, also can damage the gut lining. So we can have problems in various parts of the digestive system. So, all caused by stress. And I expect that you might have already been aware of how stress might affect your tummy. You can tell by butterflies in your tummy, that sense of nervousness, but you might have already noticed that if you're really stressed, you might need to run to the loo, or if you have prolonged stress, it might actually make you constipated. So we know that there is that link, but when it comes to the nitty-gritty, stress affects your stomach acid, and your stomach acid is really important for breaking down and absorbing your food. So if stomach acid isn't working properly, then you will experience bloating and wind. And then of course we've got the gut bacteria, which I mentioned earlier. As I said, the estrogen plays a role in balancing the gut bacteria. So if the gut bacteria is out of balance, then that can affect your ability to break down and absorb food as well. So a lot of it is to do with supporting digestion. So if you're experiencing bloating, first of all, it might be useful to do like a little symptom tracker and see if you've made any associations between anything. So for example, at particular foods, there are certain foods that can be a little bit harder to digest, and they can cause, if we eat too many of them, they can cause us all to have, like beans and pulses. If you eat loads of those, just about everybody will get bloating and wind. But if it's usually beyond that when people talk about bloating. So it might be that you just keep an eye on certain foods for now and see if you notice anything. But things you can try now to support your bloating. First thing is mindful eating. Now, it does sometimes feel a little bit too obvious to say this to people, but I can really promise you that it can make a huge difference. So let me explain all the different aspects of mindful eating. Mindful eating includes, first of all, paying attention to hunger signals if you are getting any hunger signals. So eating when you're hungry, eating at the appropriate times, not going for too long without food, because that can cause, when we do eat, to cause gas to accumulate, and we can get tummy pains then. Or on the other hand, if we're sort of grazing all the time, actually the stomach doesn't get a chance to really recover and replenish the digestive enzymes, and so that can cause problems as well. So mindfulness around hunger and eating times, but also mindfulness in terms of when we are eating, to really try and chew our food properly. And I know that might sound a little bit obvious, but actually I wonder if you ever admit to wolfing down your food, eating in front of your computer at work at lunchtime because you're trying to catch up on things, which everybody does, eating too quickly, not chewing, because at the end of the day, we haven't got teeth in our digestive system, we haven't got knives and forks. Yes, we've got digestive enzymes, but we do need to chew our food. So one thing you can start today, if you do experience bloating, is just come to your meal feeling calm and relaxed. So if you need to do some breath work, come away from your desk if you can, come away from your phone if you can, and actually move away from anything that's potentially going to stress you out. It's a great opportunity at lunchtime to get some daylight exposure, which is really amazing for resetting the body clocks and for general health. So if you can just, it's not always possible, I appreciate, but if you can put your phone down for 10 minutes and just take your food, you can sit in your coat and eat your lunch outside, that would just be amazing. But even if you could just have a few minutes away from your desk, chew your food really thoroughly so that it really is mushy like baby food, and it really will optimize your digestion. It really will give the chance for those digestive enzymes to be properly formulated. One part of the digestive process that often gets overlooked is called the cephalic phase. The cephalic phase of digestion is actually the part where we are anticipating food, thinking about food, and smelling it and anticipating eating it. And as soon as we start to think about food and prepare food, our stomach acid, our digestive enzymes and our saliva all start to be produced in readiness to help digest your food. What happens nowadays is that food is just appears out of the blue. We might have bought it, or we might have prepared it earlier even, but we're eating it really fast, and actually this comes as a huge shock to the digestive system. It wasn't expecting it because there wasn't any time to anticipate the food. And so even just something like that, just anticipating and thinking about your food, is a good start to the digestive process. So that's coming to your meal feeling relaxed, chewing thoroughly, eating in a relaxed environment, and paying attention to your hunger cues. So that's mindful eating. So that's one thing you can do, which I really recommend for bloating, and also thinking about foods that might be a little bit tricky. And then there are other things that can be helpful. For example, this isn't appropriate for everybody, particularly if you're on medication, but digestive bitters I find really useful to use with clients. There's lots of different types, and not one is the same. They basically are a tincture of different herbs that are used for calming and stimulating your own gastric juices, but they're often calmative, and that's really good for sort of bloating and wind. So there's some little ideas to get you started. Obviously, if you do have, a problem that is quite consistent, then it might be worth seeking some advice, but that is a start for you. So I hope you found it helpful, and just look out for some more videos to come, and obviously feel free to message me if you would like to suggest a topic. I'm focusing this October on perimenopause and particularly digestive issues that we're experiencing, but I can address other issues other times.